if we want to delve into this Michigan thing, I think if they're able to connect some dots here, which, we have to take the reporting with a little bit of a grain of salt. We don't know who sourced all this, and does all this really hold water? Are Pete Thamel and the Yahoo guys and the ESPN guys all doing the investigative work for the NCAA and the Big Ten on this? Can they show their math and say definitively this Connor Stallions person bought tickets at all these places and sent people there, and they say they've got surveillance tape of these people taking video, and then magically this low-level recruiting staffer is standing next to the two coordinators. Channel 10, Adam King from here in Columbus, posted a video shot from the field of C.J. Stroud going up the line of scrimmage and doing that, and then turning to the sideline to get the signal. And in the background of the shot, Connor Stallions and the defensive coordinator, as soon as the signal is made, and they recognize this is so sophisticated, they even know which guy has the legitimate signal in that moment, because there's four people over there, doing all the signals and everything. They know which guy has the legitimate signal. Connor Stallions says something, the defensive coordinator says something, and then 20 people on the sideline go like this, which, they're yelling pass. It's going to be a pass. It's a pass. So that means don't worry about, selling out for the run, play the pass. And, stealing signs is not the problem. The problem is the spying. The spying is the problem. And if the spying comes back that the coaches were aware of it, they're using ill-gotten gains to win football games. And that to me strikes at the heart of the competition. They have short-circuited the competition with this cheating that they have allegedly taken part of, and they're going to say, well, we had no idea he was going to these links to break these codes. And I think that's a bit naive to believe that, because at some point somebody asked, well, how are you getting this intelligence? Somebody has to ask that question, don't they? And better yet, if he is submitting receipts as a low-level, not well-paid recruiting analyst, and the University of Michigan or Jim Harbaugh or a coach or somebody is reimbursing him for the thousands and thousands of dollars of travel and tickets and everything else that he embarked on here, that's lack of institutional control. And that could be a several-year postseason ban, I would think. They may have to give back wins, be outlawed this year, maybe next year, and probably show cause for a bunch of people. And this is a can of worms, and it seems to me like they are holding Michigan, like in Lion King, is holding this guy up. He is your culprit. We are all not culpable. Well, that doesn't fly, because the head coach is presumed to know everything under his auspices. So that's my 2 cents on that. And if they take action against Michigan this year, then all Ohio State has to do is win the next 4 games. They're in the Big Ten championship game. Figure that's a walkover. They're in the playoff, regardless of what happens against Michigan. They could lose that game 44-0, and people will say, "Oh, it's tainted." Whatever. It's a loss, but they're still going to Indianapolis and probably going to beat whoever comes out of the West. At 12-1, you're in the playoff.
I think so much of this has already been tainted, because you don't have to prove anything like beyond a shadow of a doubt at this point, because the public opinion is that all of these things sure line up pretty well, and they look exactly how cheating would look if you were cheating.
If you were actually trying to cheat.
This is what it would look like. And if you're trying to get, or if you're trying to get caught at cheating, this is also what it would look like. And then
this is very ham-handed.
The mental gymnastics to think that Jim Harbaugh would have no idea, like, that none of this is happening, that this is happening around him, when, Connor Stallions is also talking to Jim Harbaugh on the sidelines. And if the players know and the coaches know, how does the head coach not know? So all of this is just It looks very, very, very bad. And I know Michigan fans are like, well, you can't prove this in a court of law, or how are you going to prove this in a court of law? It's like, this isn't a court of law. This is the NCAA. This is the Big Ten. This is now you're not just scouting Big Ten games. We had confirmation that he bought tickets for a Clemson game. He bought tickets to the previous two big SEC championship games. Like they've gone beyond the Midwest. So now you're going to bring in the SEC. You're going to bring in the ACC in terms of, hey, we want answers. We don't want to have to, why should we have to deal with this? Like, we need a response immediately. And I think Adam Rittenberg has reported that the Big Ten doesn't have to wait for the NCAA. They could have a speedy response to this. I'm not expecting anything because in terms of like right now, because it is so unprecedented. But as I keep saying, what Michigan is alleged to have done and what Connor Stallions sure seems to have been doing is wholly unprecedented. So why wouldn't there be an unprecedented speed of punishment that goes right along with it? And I can't wait to talk to the College Football Playoff Committee Tuesday night to see what they have to say about it. And I just keep going over in my mind. I don't want to be an Ohio State reporter asking that question. I'm hoping the national reporters will ask it, because Ohio State as a topic of its own is also something that I will be writing about, talking about, and wanting to know about, especially to get back to Ryan Daw's question. Based on the AP poll and the coaches poll, they should be number one in the college football playoff poll, but we don't know how that committee is going to feel about Penn State and Notre Dame at this point. But I want to know what the committee has to say about Michigan. And they can't hide behind it's an ongoing investigation. They're not the ones being investigated. They have nothing to do with the investigation. I want to know how they feel about their thoughts on, hey, you've got this cloud over Michigan. Are you just ignoring that? Or would you want that in your playoff? Would you want that? And would you want to have that possibility of them winning and then finding out that there was ample cheating going on? Or do you even want that in your playoff?
Yeah, I think that they're eligible until such time that they're not eligible. So I think you have to
answer that question.
You have to grade them on the merit of what they've put on the field, and I think they're certainly in the discussion for number one. I would think, or two or three. Looking at the metrics across the board, forgetting the fact that the teams that they've played have been total dog crap. So I don't know. I think they're going to be ranked in the top three, no question about it. I think they'll have some tough questions that they'll need to answer regarding that. Tony Petitti seems like a really no-nonsense kind of guy. I got to talk to him up at the Big Ten basketball media days just a couple weeks ago. He seems like a really good common sense type person. And I think he would be the first one to tell you if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. And I think that in this case, Michigan, with them being in an open week this week with no game, I would think and I would hope that whoever is leading this charge with this investigation with the NCAA and the Big Ten, that they were on campus this week interviewing everybody involved and getting forensic evidence off the computers and the hard drives and surveillance and whatever else, and getting to the bottom of it. This was the week with them not playing a game this week. Michigan can't say, well, we're too busy to stop and talk to you about this. There's no game this week. Now the coaches were probably all sent out of town on recruiting, but I know we want to get to Nick talking about Wisconsin, but that to me, this was the week to get to the bottom of it. And I hope by the end of this week, we have some findings of at least some evidence so that a common sense resolution to this can be made.
Yeah, Koff, we'll get to your super chat. We appreciate it. One quick statement out of me, then we will get to the Wisconsin preview with Nick, is that just aside from this particular case, just as it regards cheating, there is only one purpose of cheating. So we've had a ton of Michigan fans comment on here, and most of them have been really fair and objective as is reasonable, and have been really good about taking this seriously and so forth. But there are tons of people out there. Well, they're so much better than everyone they play. They don't need to cheat. This is stupid. They're so much better. Why do they need to do that? This isn't helping them at all. Then don't do it. There is only one purpose to cheating. That's to change a result. That's the only reason you cheat.
It's like Watergate. Richard Nixon had that thing on lock, was going to win in a landslide either way, and they had the hubris to spy on the opposition, and the cover-up was what, did them all in. I mean, if they just come clean and whatever, then maybe it wouldn't have turned out the way that it did. But this is a version of Watergate, in my opinion.